stakeholders. Is this a strategy or a mistake? So I'm asking Mr. Allen to choose one. Is it a strategy or is it a mistake that they leave them out?
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So I think I'll tell the part that it's a mistake and it's not a strategy. And to portray that, I want to first make people understand what mission and vision statement is. Our mission and vision statement is supposed to be more like a strategy guide for any organization. So it means that when you're putting up a mission and vision statement, it's supposed to be what guides the entire organization. Now, I also want to say that most times, we can't totally push the blames to owners because 80% of the times, the people that draft the vision and mission statement for brands are not the owners. Actually, us here. Because so many owners don't even have the time to put their thoughts together to understand why they set up businesses. So if you want to share the blame, it starts from us. Because the mistakes most of us do is that since we are around the owners at the point of conceptualizing the ideas or setting up a brand, we don't sit down with them and ask them what or why they want to really set up a facility. For so many owners, it's just about business. So the mistakes we make generally as hospitality practitioners is that most times we just hurry off and we don't ask them what their vision and mission statement is. So let me go to the question now. Vision and mission statement, like it said, a mission statement, it's a statement that defines the product, the services, the people and the client that you're trying to reach out to. While a vision statement is the aims and aspiration of a particular brand. Now, assuming that if the brand does few years, it should be able to, actualize on the vision. So when you are writing a vision and mission statement and you forget to carry the staff in mind, understand too well that vision and mission statement is supposed to give direction to the staff, supposed to give direction to the management. So when you are drafting a document that doesn't carry the people, understand that the people, when you're doing your vision statement, the people involve the staff, it involves the market you're trying to reach out to. Now, the staffs are one of the most important people in the process, important items in the process. So when you take out the people that are actually going to interpret your dreams and goals, what it means is like fueling a vehicle, and because it's a new vehicle, you just fuel it, you want to drive it to wherever, without a destination in mind. So what that means is that if you draft a vision and mission statement without your staff in mind, without bringing them into consideration, you are simply planning to fail. So, because when you draft out a mission and vision statement with your staff in mind, and when you're onboarding them, you share it with them, there's this sense of belonging that it brings. And anybody that feels he or she has been carried along, has been captured while they were planning the whole business, will give their total to the business. So when you miss your staff, you will miss the people that offer the services in your mission and vision statement, you're simply missing the most important ingredient that you needed to add to setting up your brand. So it's a mistake and not a strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Allen. So please, as you've heard, it's very important that the employees are captured in your policies, in your mission statements, and every other document that you have. Alhaji Sumono had said earlier that if you're designing performance, your strategies for performance, you should have an outcome in mind. So the mission can be one of those kind of outcomes. Because you cannot say the mission of my hotel is to provide exceptional service, and then you're now recruiting staff who do not even understand what exceptional means, right? So everything else you do must draw from the mission, which is giving direction to every other thing. Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. Having said that, while it is important for us to understand all of that, gets our directions and all, yesterday Dr. Pinda mentioned something, that it is possible that some hotels are boarding facilities. We're not offering service. And it was something really, really to ponder on. So I want to ask Dr. Pigha, sorry about that. How can hotels position themselves to be service providers? Because I can assure you that we have managers here who are offering boarding services. So please give us the strategies so that when they leave here today, they can go back and know how to position themselves as service providers.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much. Permit me to say, and taking dressings from what Dr. Pinder said yesterday, most hotels are just like boarding facilities. No, being a service provider goes beyond you just building a hotel, getting a structure. Many owners, they spend so much money erecting a structure, they set up that building, but when you see the inside and what is going on, it's a mess. If you go inside, nothing actually is happening. Some persons spend billions of naira to set up a facility. You admire it from outside, but the internal running structure is nothing to write home about. Now, the best thing to do when you invest in such a facility is getting the right workforce. The right workforce. You don't just employ because you want to employ. There is this common saying from most owners: we want to cut costs, we want to save money, thereby they go about picking out their relatives from the village. I beg, just go help me stay here. Help me to look the hotel. How do you expect to run that kind of a place? What do you expect of that kind of place? How do you communicate with your guest when that person does not even know what to do and how to go about it? So the right workforce, and not just you getting that workforce, not just you employing the right persons. How do you maintain that workforce? Constant training. Training and retraining, because some owners see training of their workers, their staffs, as a waste of resources. Most persons, I remember having a discussion with one owner there in Ughelli. Said, "Oga, please send your manager and your supervisor, let them attend this program." And he said, how much? Namigo pay. You know, he sees it like he's wasting the money. And this is a facility that is always being sold out, but he does not want to impact anything upon his team. Rather, one other MD told me, instead of me to send my manager, I should attend. He wants to come himself so he can get some other things and how he can go back and begin to manipulate. So you hiding so many things from your staffs can also degenerate that facility from progressing. So you have to employ the right persons and also invest in training those persons to keep them afloat in the business. So you being in service goes beyond just that structure, but getting a right workforce that will continue to keep communication between, there should be a communication link between the management, the owner, and the guest. If you don't get these things right, you will just be like that boarding house where people walk in and walk out and nothing good is actually happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for him. He identified 3 strategies, which are very important. What's the first one?
Hiring, right?
People of God. What was the first strategy? Yes, you must get the right workforce. And the second one? Yes, you maintain that right workforce through training. Because you remember, even if you hire people, professionals, after a while, they empty their jar and it needs to be refilled. And you refill it through training. So you maintain your workforce through what? Training. They may come out right. After a while, they've depleted all the knowledge they had. There's nothing new to give, and they are no longer the right workforce. At that point, you want to move them out. So maintain the right workforce through what? Training. And the third one, communication. Communication is very important. There has to be a clear link, and ways in which your workforce is communicated, or the way you communicate with your workforce. Having said that, even with all of these strategies, we have strategies which he has just given to us. Now we know it. But there are a lot of managers who are flying blind. They are doing what we call trial by error. You try this one, you know how, like most mechanics in Nigeria do. They use your car to learn work and then bill you for learning with your car. So we have a lot of managers who are operating like that. Like Fela said, doctor will behave like carpenter now waiting. Exactly. So, I want Nicole to give us tips, right? What tips can you give hotel managers about how to develop performance strategies, right? We need tips that they can take now and then move with it. She has a lapel here.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mrs. Nicole Kings-Okechukwu, and I'm going to approach this with like two perspectives.
Okay.
Am I very clear?
Can you hear? Please, can you increase her volume? Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mrs. Nicole Kings-Okechukwu, and I'm going to approach this question from two dimensions, and this is how I would like to think of it. One is from the structural angle, that's the department, your hotel, or your facility. And the second is from the people angle. So I'm predominantly in HR, so I would speak like a HR person, also because performance management is a key HR concept. Now, I think one of the key things that we forget in hiring, of course, you hire right, and I love all the content shared from yesterday, but I find that people don't pay specific attention to even just the personalities of people that you're hiring. So for instance, you can have someone who is highly skilled, but they don't like smiling, or they just could care less with how happy other people are. If you hire that kind of person, how can you give them a KPI to make people happy? Is it possible? Can I get an answer? Yes or no?
No.
So you have someone who is highly skilled, but their personality, their wiring doesn't even sit in. And this is where I'm coming to from the people angle. For us as managers, we must learn that through our hiring process, we must go deeper into figuring out the people that we're bringing into our teams. Not just hiring right based on some tick boxes or check boxes, but based on what your intuition is telling you about these people. And then when you get them in, that is these people with beautiful personalities or whatever characters it is that we need for these jobs, there is something called onboarding. How do you do your onboarding? How do you make them even understand what it is your organization is trying to achieve? And after that, like he rightly said, maintaining them. As a HR person, when I bring people in, I understand where they are. Some people have maybe she's great at smiling, she's great at greeting, she's great at being polite, but she may not know how to carry a tray. As a hiring manager or as a HR person, it's my job to follow up with my staff. Which areas do I need to train them on, and what progress are they making? Month 1, month 2, what am I training them on specifically? And I think some of us really just get very stressed with the general day work that we don't want to pay deep attention into those details. But you can't give somebody a KPI to serve 50 tables when they've not even conquered 2. So why I'm saying this is because we must pay deep attention into these people that we're hiring and truly know where they are at point of hiring, and then set KPIs based on what we are looking forward to training them on, and make sure that, okay, we say by month 2 you should be able to do this, by month 3 you should be able to do this. And when these people feel that they are being looked at, when they feel like they're being poured into intentionally, they're more encouraged to show you their performance. They're more encouraged to tell you tomorrow that, oh, I've learned how to flip an omelette or something like that, because they know that you're cheering them on to learn how to flip an omelette, right? So that is one area. So focusing on the people, not just hiring because they tick check boxes, but hiring, you could even hire starters who basically just have good personality. In the next 1 year, you don't know where they will be, probably even better off than the highly skilled person that you thought was, the hot cake. And then following up with onboarding, following up with their progress, and making sure that you're setting KPIs based on what you are teaching them, so that you're not just shooting aimlessly. Also, it's not fair to judge who has 5 years experience, who is a waiter, with someone who just has 1 month experience, who is a waiter. So as a manager, this is the brain work and it's the heart work. It's a brain and heart work for you to be able to put in that work on the individuals that you're bringing into your team. So that's one, focusing on the people. The second thing is your department. What you judge the F&B department may not be the same thing as the front office or front desk area. As a manager, you must find out what the key activities are in those departments, figure out what matters the most, and make sure that people are clearly understanding what is expected of them. I mean, if you're setting, the general room revenue thing, and you are giving maybe somebody who works in laundry, that's a false shoot. You can't blame your laundry people for maybe like your room sales directly. I mean, they indirectly affect, but directly you can't really choke them on that. So as a manager, it's your job to figure out where needs what specific skills, and then develop the key activities. For instance, we learned about output, input, KPIs yesterday, and then the two others. So it's for you to figure out the mix of those KPIs from your department. Like, for instance, practically, you can say, serve 50 rooms in a day. That can be a KPI for your F&B people. For your front desk, you could say, maybe filling feedback forms. Right, so there are two different things. You can easily say we want to get customer service reviews. There are two different KPIs, and if they understand how particular it is to their department, they are more prone to understanding, okay, this is why I have to do this work, rather than just saying all of you behave well or do well, or everybody has the same KPIs. So these are the two areas that I'm going to focus on. Number one, the person or the people, and then number two, the departments, understanding your department's key activities in those departments, and being able to communicate those activities or expectations clearly to your staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we've talked about knowing persona, right? Dr. Eric even emphasized it again when he was talking. He talked about knowing the persona of your customer, but it's also important to know the persona of the employee. So it's called most like ideal candidate. If you're going to be recruiting in front of a receptionist, how should the person look? What temperament should the person have? I've seen several locations where a manager would say, please, I'm hiring receptionist. If you know any tall, fine, fair girl. Yes, tall, fine, fair. What is it about fair girls? That's why bleaching cream is now expensive. Because you will not allow black people to breathe. Please. Allow black people breathe. What is it? So tall, fair, and fine. It's not a recruitment criteria. It's not a persona. Okay? Please, let's look at that. And Nicole has mentioned it already. Pay attention to personality, right? Who that person is. You can have that fair, tall girl who will want to give your guest. Apart from giving them bombastic side eye, they'll give them bombastic slap one day, and that's the end of the whole thing. Okay. You also mentioned onboarding. It's important that people understand where they're coming into. That's the culture thing. That's when you begin to tell them about the culture. Sometimes I've recruited for companies where I see their forms and they say culture fit, right? They're trying to find out, because one of two ways, if the person fits into the culture of the organization. And then training needs assessment. You need to understand the level of training this one person needs may not be the other one. Remember, learners learn at different levels and different pace. So don't carry everybody at the same level. Yesterday, I gave out free training needs assessment templates. So those of you who got it, good for you. And then set KPIs, you also mentioned that. Set your KPI, let people know what they are moving towards. Thank you so much, Nicole. And my last question goes to Mr. Sami. Talking about KPIs, we've learned about KPIs, the importance of that, right? We've learned that KPIs are to be developed by who? Come on, people. Okay, and KRI by who? Yes, but do owners set KPIs? No, who ends up setting the KPIs? The managers. Great. So that's what I want to ask Mr. Sami. How important are KPIs, and why should every manager develop them for their team and for themselves?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel Udoka. KPI is very, very important. We've been talking about it since we resumed this conference. You cannot walk blindly. You cannot walk blindly, because once you set up a goal during your work, you will be able to have a target. KPIs are metrics that enables us to know the performance or the health or the status or the progress of the business that we are handling. So it's very important that we set these KPIs in different parts. As Prof said yesterday, that KPI is not just on one part of the hotel. You set it in different parts, which I will be mentioning now. KPIs allow you to make some critical decisions. Once you see that it is not going the way you set it, it makes you to take some critical decision and make adjustments along the line. We set KPI for the staff. We set KPI for ourselves as the managers. We set KPI, say we have a target. Look at what we want to achieve in so time. And at the end of the day, you do appraisal. You try to know whether you've actually achieved that set goal, as the case may be. It's just like when you set KPI, you say, we have different type of KPIs. The RevPAR, the ADR, you can even say the online review. These are types of KPI that you can also look at and say, let me look at the online review and see what the guests are saying, what my guests are saying. You're now trying to see, okay, look at what they're saying and know exactly where you are going to make adjustment. Some guests even go as far as mentioning names of staff while making their online reviews. You now say, okay, this staff did this particular thing at a time. When I was earlier in the industry, we were in housekeeping, and you see that maybe after cleaning the room, maybe you forget to maybe clean the cup, the tea cup. You go home. Tomorrow, reviews will come, feedbacks will come. They say, Sam did not clean my tea cup. It's a KPI. And if 2-3 guests complain about that, it's a problem for you as a manager. Also, we have a kind of market penetration index. You also set it as a KPI. Try to understand how far you've penetrated the market. We also have the one I call the average long stay for a guest. I also develop such KPIs when I'm trying to know the type of guest I have and how long they stay. It also helped me in taking some decisions. So KPI important cannot be much emphasized because it will help you a lot in taking decision in different areas as you go through your work on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for him. So now, Mr. Samuel is making us understand that while we've been talking about KPIs from yesterday, in the broad sense of it, one of the reasons why it's important to set KPIs is because it helps you make critical decisions. If you're following up with your staff, you will know, right? It guides you, also helps you make adjustments. I don't think any KPI is set on stone, right? Yeah. Yes, there's always room for review, the same way that they work. And then you also do appraisals to check the progress of your people as we go along. Because you need to do measurement and evaluation to know who is doing well, who has earned that reward that Benedicta spoke about, who needs more training, who needs to move to another department based on their temperament or attitude and other things there. So it's very important to have KPIs. How many of us have KPIs? 4.5 people. How many of us will go back and set KPIs? Great. Please, it's really important. Otherwise, as he said, you're going to be flying blind. But at this point, I'll yield to you or anyone have any question? This is the time to ask questions. Okay, there are questions. Please, can you come do you have any microphones there? Or you come get one and take down.
Carry microphone.
Behind.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Justina, I have a question that has actually bothered me a lot. And I want to thank God we have a few authorities here in the hospitality industry. Now, there's a cultural notion, there's a cultural perception in the Southeast that the hotel industry is a breeding ground for immorality and all kinds of social vices, sexual vices, and yet it is the largest employer of labor now. I've had to interview people, ladies in particular, and we've employed them 2-3 days after they wouldn't come. And when you call them, you hear them say their father said, their mother said, "Oh, how can you ever work in a place like that?" I didn't start from this industry. I started from the telecoms. I want to ask the professor or one other authority who's here, how are we going to address this problem? How are we going to correct it? It's deep. You hear them say, no, they can't work. And one actually called me and said, why am I giving the daughter a job in a place where, you know? Thank you. That's my question.
Thank you very much. Alaji, Benedicta, anyone want to help us there? Benedicta is smiling. I think she wants to answer. Yes, take it there.
Take the mic.
I think that's something we've all had to deal with. And I think it's a cultural notion that the industry is one for immorality and, every kind of vice. It's so bad that sometimes when you're seen in a hotel, whether you're there for a meeting, whether you're there for vacation in Nigeria, it's almost like, oh, maybe you're here because a man put you here, or you're waiting for a man to come and meet you. And I think the onus is on each and every one of us as hospitality professionals to continue to correct, that narrative or that notion. I've hired someone before that there was a day we were looking for her around midnight. And then I got information that, oh, most times at midnight they're looking for her. So at some point we had to fire her. And she left. And guess what? 2 days later, she shows up at the gate. She's going to see a long-staying guest in the hotel. Ooh. And I'm like, you've just been fired, so you're not allowed to come back here. Policy and all of that. The guest came down and said, are you saying that my guest cannot come to my room?
Yeah, now she's your guest.
So that was, I'd never experienced anything like that before, and that was within the first 6 months of my career in Nigeria. Of course, we had to allow her go upstairs, but then this takes us back. This takes us back to what I was saying about the kind of people that we end up employing. So it's an industry where we have to be very particular. And to be able to attract the right people, we just have to review, like a lot of things, how we hire, who we hire, and then the benefits that are available to the people that we hire. So it's...
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. My contribution, that's been an old conception or perception about the industry. That and that the industry is also for dropouts. So that's the second one, that people who work in the industry did not go to school, so if you are there. Now, how do we solve that problem? One is what we are doing here. So I want to say well done to Benga, because this is an eye-opener. I'm sure a lot of you in the industry don't know a lot of things until you started attending HMC. That's one. So this is an awareness center. Number two, again, it lies on all of us again. the kind of things you tell your employees, what you do in your hotels.
Yes.
Or in the various hospitality sector that you work in. What are you telling them? What message, what brand have you created for yourself, for your hotel? It's all about your brand again. Yeah. And then number 3, when you employ them, what are your conditions of service? I give you an example, and I'm seeing that happening in the Southeast or across right now, and the consultants can also help in this. Now, you cannot employ young ladies or employ staff and then you ask them to work 24 hours without going home. So if you employ a receptionist and she's working 24 hours before going home the next day, what impression, what message again are you sending back to the family? Because you cannot work for 24 hours and then you are working in a hotel and it's a young, probably a young girl. So we should also look at our working conditions because we know labor law says 8 hours and you are now extending, pushing it because you want to save costs to 24 hours. And then it becomes wahala. And then you are paying that staff 30,000 or 35,000 and you expect the parents to imagine she's working in a good place after sending that girl to school. So we need to change the narrative about how the concept and the conditions we put in our industry. Thank you.
Thanks very much. When you come to 24 hours, I'm sure we have a lot of guilty people around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of reasons, a lot of things regarding that. Yes. You want to ask a question? A question. All right, so we'll get to your question next. Do you still want to say, okay, she said your mind, yeah? All right, great. So, yes, we'll take your question. Then we'll get to you. Yes. You have a question?
Good afternoon, all. I have a question, but let me put some contribution on what we are, the previous question. Please, like they said, we should be telling our own stories, okay? From my staffs, I think one good aware is when they come to your hotel and say good stuff, they steal it. They are very good in that. Most of my staff, I have to work in an oil company now. Presently, my boss is also dealing with network providers, MTN, every stuff. So when they come to your hotels and see how they answer their intercoms, how they serve, and they are ready, please, manager, release this person for me to employ them. And they're being paid. Like the last ones that left are being paid 1.2 in total, Port Harcourt. It was my staff that left. So you tell the people what the need, why a graduate should even start. I think hotels should be a starting point for a graduate because that's where you meet connections and people that will take you to a greater positions, I guess. Then tell them the reason in the initial employment. Like I tell my staff, here may be a stepping stone and here may be your fall. The coppers are employees. They always carry their CV in their back pocket. Basically, they see somebody they are close to and give them that manifest. They're offering their CVs to them immediately because they want to attend to higher positions. But back to my question, please. We talked about KPIs on front desk and managing the owners and the managers when it comes to discounts. I think that's where the problem lies in when the owner of the company wants you to give everybody that knows him from childhood, and some of the guests will tell you, oh, you built this place, we started this place, now you should employ your discounts on them. While you check your KPIs and it's not balancing with what you have, you can't be giving these discounts when you're already on loss. Or we or people know that our tax is killing us, especially the government. Sorry, forgive me if you're a government person here, but please, I need an answer on that, how to manage the KPIs when it comes to guest owners and giving discounts.
So what you're saying is that how should you manage the owner giving discount outside?
Yes, and still expect you to give result at the end of the month.
Okay, so you have a target, but your owner is still giving out discount. That makes you. Okay. Who wants to answer that? Anyone here? Anyone? Okay, please, Mr. Allen, answer that.
Okay, so first, I want to say something about the first question, or the first issue that was brought up. I think the hospitality thing, like all the speakers have said, is a perception thing. Before I joined the industry, I used to have that kind of mindset. But until I joined and I understood that it wasn't what people said about it. So I think it boils down to the information and the kind of education we tell, the kind of things we tell people. So education comes in here. So once you find yourself in the midst of people, what do you tell them about hotels? It goes a long way. So if all of us here tell people the good things about hotels, the perception changes. So it means we have to start telling people the good part. So like you had an opportunity to talk to maybe the parent of I employed someone for a club recently, and like 2 days later she didn't turn up to. And she told me, the sister said hotels or clubs was for prostitutes. But after I've spoken with the sister, she had a change of mindset because, I had to educate her. So many of them don't understand the other things that happen. So I think it is now bent on us to change the narrative. Then secondly, for hotel owners, for somebody like me that I've worked as a manager and also as a consultant, I think what happens with that scenario where the owners keep coming in to give discount is first how you got the job. The value you place on yourself will determine the kind of, lines you draw when you take up a job. So first, if you're the type that came in through, maybe the owner picked you somewhere, or maybe you were the brother or something, you might not be able to draw the lines when it comes to these things. So how you start up defines a whole lot of things that you do. So when you take up a job, do you draw the lines? Do you tell the owner of the brand, this is what we should do, this is what you can do, this is what you cannot. If you cannot draw that line, you cannot stop anything. So understand that the value you place on yourself will determine the type of lines and the kind of boundaries you create between you and the owner. So if you notice that the owner keep, crossing that boundary, I think 2 things. Either it's you that is the problem because you didn't draw that line from day one, or these things were not set as SOPs from day one. So SOPs need to be drawn up, but you as a person need to state these things from day one when you take up the job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, really quickly, so because I have one person here with a question, another person, so we'll pick, okay, let me number, if you have a question, please, carry your hand up so I can count the persons who will ask questions and then we turn up. Okay, so we'll start with Jude, and okay, we'll start with our friend from Adamawa. And then, yes, you sir, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Okay, so, yes.
I just want to add, like mathematically, if your KPI is 5 million and the owner keeps taking out credits or what they call it, discounts, just actually like if the room is 12,000 and he's telling you give them at 8,000, for every 4,000 naira that you have to lose out, document it. When you're submitting whatever you've made that month, you follow that you put that document with what you're tendering. Then when he calculates it, he himself will see the debt that he is bringing on you. So it's still adding up to your KPI, but it's just not in the account because he ate it, because he gave discounts. So practically speaking, you just tender that so that it's on paper, that it's not like you don't make money. It is the owner that took, monies from all these discounts he has been giving people. So that's practical.
You see this Nicole, sense will not kill her. Sense will not kill her. Okay, please take the microphone. Yes, Jude.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I understand that professionals were called to comment on this, our Oga question. I am not supposed to speak, but please permit me to.
Sorry, Jude, do you have a question or you want to make a contribution?
I told you I'm contributing to this,
okay.
Just briefly.
All right, so really briefly, because we've passed that already.
Yes, okay. He was talking about the perception of hotels, especially in the Southeast, but it cuts across beyond Southeast. And I'm thinking that what we can do to contribute to that is what is our own functions, the managers and all the hotel workers. You are standing and you're seeing a guest spank your staff, and you prefer that guest over your staff, is a wrong message. Yeah. When he goes out and have a sister that wants to work in a hotel, you automatically tell that sister, do not go. This is what happened in hotels because he does the same thing. I personally, I don't care how much you're bringing. Once you spank or you touch, you are gone. It's either I arrest you or I check you out and blacklist you. So I think we need to take that. Secondly, what do we tell people at home? Do you go home and start saying, oh, you see that honorable, he used to come with so person. You see that person, he comes with so. So keep that information confidential. It's not for the general public, it's for the hotel. So if we want to end that notion that the hotel is where certain things are done, we need to also act professionally. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. And that's really important. Someone has asked me once, Ms. Over, you work in hotels. What if your husband walks in with a girl? I'm like, I'll collect the money. And when we go back home, it's a different matter. All right, number 2.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I would like to just reply to the gentleman who had asked the question. It's about ladies are scared to join in hospitality industry. You know, it's a common practice. It's not only gentleman is said in Overi or any other place. It's a common practice where mindset of the parents across Nigeria that ladies or women are not supposed or restricted to work into hospitality industry. But let me to bring, it's a wrong misconception what they have it in their mind, for especially for the senior citizens or the elderly parents. To be very honest, in my profession for more than 3 decades in the hospitality industry, I have seen the ladies are playing the major role in the hospitality industry. Across the globe, they are playing the major role, and really they are rocking across in the world. Okay, so here in Nigeria, I believe we need to create a mindset of the people that we need to empower women here. We need to empower women here because they are being left behind. They need to be given and real support that they can be empowered and they can show their skills. You know, they really do they do have that potential. So especially in hospitality industry, we need people to be passionate. Until people who are in passion, nobody can able to do any achievements in hospitality industry. So really, friends, everyone, I would request you to please tell everyone, until and unless everybody will need to be passionate and help these people also build confidence, especially for ladies, that they are all well secured to work in one of the professional organization called hospitality industry. So wish all the ladies a bright future, and all the hoteliers, I hope that you would take it in forward and support all the women empowerment in future in hospitality industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We just got ourselves a life patron of women
in hospitality. I know. I was thinking that.
Thank you. All right, sir. Please, no more contribution about women. Leave us alone.
My name is Kayode. Since yesterday that we've been here, my first takeaway here, when people are analyzing the problem or the challenges in the hospitality industry, is that 40% of the blame goes to the owners. Now, this is it. I see a lot of institutes of hospitality, this hospitality. Does hospitality industry in Nigeria, do they have a regulatory body? Like you have at the Nigerian Bar Association, Nigerian Medical Association, the Pharmaceutical Societies of Nigeria, whereby if you need to set up anything, a regulation, rules to be followed, has to be given. Because when you look at Nigeria as a whole, most people that set up hotel are rich people. Oh, what can I do with this money? Let me set up a hotel. Without lay down mode of operation. If we have a lay down mode of operation, most of the problem we are highlighting since yesterday will not be there. Except you go to top 5 stars hotel, like maybe your Transcorp whereby you see a system in place. System like whereby you aspire to even work there because your pension is being paid, things are being run normally. But when you come to a setup whereby one billionaire has money and he put up a structure, give a consultant because that is after his money, right, and he start putting things on ground. We have a regulatory body that regulates this industry? If you don't have, someone need to send a bill to the parliament whereby that things can be done. Thank you.
I want to put Prof on the spot to please answer that question. He knew already. He knew I was going to call him already, so please take the microphone to Prof, please, to briefly.
I think we have a parallel school here. While Maoga was talking, everybody else was saying, Prof, you are on the spot. And here she said, I should answer. Now, I'll try as much as possible to be practical. We need to admit, hospitality is the most unregulated business in Nigeria. One, even the Olosho has regulation. Now, all you need to do to enter hospitality as an investor, have the money, it's easier to go in, and that's why most of them are stuck. There is no exit strategy for them. Now, you don't even, all you need to work in the hotel, know how to say good morning, good afternoon, you look beautiful, you have a job. But if I'm going to ask Morgan, which professional body do you belong to? Which association, sir? Okay, a service provider. Which service provider, sir? Chemical company. Now, that means as a chemical company, you probably belong to the Chemical Society of Nigeria. Thank God. Thank you so much. My VC happens to be your immediate past president, Professor Sunday Okene. Now, for every chemicals that comes into Nigeria, they has a role to play. But let's leave that. We need to understand some things about your environment, where we are in Nigeria. We say you want to be like America. Do you know we do not have a professional body on hospitality in the entire United States of America that is approved by the Senate of America or the House? AHLA is just a recognition. When you want to be professional body, it's something that comes from you, the players, not government. So if you want it regulated, what role are you playing? Are you made up your mind? That is America. In the United Kingdom, we have Institute of Hospitality. Institute of Hospitality started years back. In fact, this will be probably their third or fourth nomenclature. It's in over 100 countries. But do you know, with my certificate as member of Institute of Hospitality UK, if I have a visa, a working visa in the United Kingdom, I have assurance, even as a visitor, I can be given a job for 90 days in the hospitality industry. You know why? The members of the association said, this is what we will do to give credibility to our certificates. So being a professional body, it's all about you. Now, ICANN is issue of the law. But in this part of the country, we don't want to do anything for ourselves except it is being enforced onto us. Probably because of the long era of military we had in Nigeria. But I'm going to pick one or two. Who knows? Now, you cannot practice as a lawyer except you are a member of the Nigeria Bar Association. Abi? Mm-hmm. But do you know the NBA is never a professional body? There is no act in Nigeria that says an act establishing the Nigeria Bar Association. It is just a conscious effort of the lawyers to say, look, enough is enough. And the only way you see NBA in the entire Nigeria law, it's when they are setting up the legal disciplinary council, and it says the president of MBA must be a member. That is the only thing that gives them. There is no law that created it. Nigerian Society of Engineers, another example. No law, it's a society. But do you know you never get a job as an engineer without being a member of that society? The only time you see any Nigerian Society of Engineers in our law is in where? Current Act that says the president of Nigerian Society of Engineers must be on the Council of Current. Institute of Architects of Law, they are professional body established by law. But the Nigerian Society of Engineers is still the baba without the recognition of the law. I have to go this route so that we understand that professionalism is not about the law. If it comes from the law, you are at the mercy of the government. And we play around the government to have. As of today, we have a law established that defines who should work in the hospitality industry. We have what we call the Nigerian Institute of Tourism and Hospitality law that gave that NIOTOS the power to determine who works in the industry and who should not work in the industry. But you know, Nigeria, we are a country of all nationalities. We have a Chinese idea, Japanese idea, Singapore idea, yet we are still black. Now, that law was made without consultations with the professional bodies in Nigeria. Now, the law is there. So it's not as if we don't have a law. But the process of the law, the same law that says NIOTOS must control, determine who works in the industry, still has a clause that they have to be in charge of MVQ. Now, if it is MVQ, I have a PhD, I'm beyond MVQ. If you have an ND, you are beyond MVQ. So they cannot come and harass you because the law is defective, even though there is a law that says we should. But that's not where I'm going. Well, I'll tell you, the law is defective. Why? Because we are not ready to follow it. As it is, we can still make something out of it. But we will not, because the government has to go through the era of trying to force it on us. You see, there is no professionalism if we are not ready to drop our ego and say, yes, enough is enough, we need to do the right thing. So please, I want to plead with you. We have hotel owners here of Imo State. If they say, look, our members, this is the standard we want to follow, that becomes professionalism. They don't need law. They don't need Tinubu to tell them how to run their business. The countries that were advanced, that we call advanced countries, they never require government. We have NTDA law. If you look at that law, go online and look for America Hotel and Lodging Association. Look at their principles, look at their bylaw. That is what somebody went online to download and turn to us as NTDA Act. And you want me to respect that act? That is stupidity. Because the people we look up to are not professionals. And we allowed it because of our ego. There is a university here, IMSU. How many of their professors are here? Even their students are here while they are even writing exam. It's taking the VC of EXU to say, if you are a professor, you are not a member of any professional body, you will not be promoted. Must still get to that. Exactly. So we need to understand that professionalism has nothing to do with government. We have laws. Are we following the law? The answer is no. It must become a conscious effort that we have to come together, drop our ego, and follow the rule of John Locke that says where there is no law, every man will be for himself.
Yeah.
The world will become bullish. And I think that is the world we are in hospitality in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Before we go to question number 4, yes, Mr. Sami wants to do a quick contribution.
I want to still throw more light on what Prof said. I was in Dubai for 6 years. There's what they call hotel operation inspectors, HOI. See what happened? They will walk into your hotel some days, check in with their money, lodge. The following morning, they will turn your room upside down. Maybe that particular room they're staying, from both the bed sheet, everything, both the bed, they'll turn it and now see how dirty your room is. Then they will go down. Please, I want to see the general manager. I want to see show the ID card. Everybody will now start running around. Now, there is law. If we have a situation in Nigeria whereby every investor, we go to a particular body and say, I want to build a hotel. With your plan, they will look at it, approve it, before you even start building. It will curtail something that we're experiencing now, even to the ethics. Some hotels don't even have maybe things like staff canteen. Now, consultant will now come in and say, there's no staff canteen, no. They say, leave it, now let them just eat anywhere. I've worked in different hotels where they don't have staff canteen. Then, how do we follow ethics? You now come to the reception and see the lady eating. Now, if there's a plan originally so there should be a body. I'm going back to what the questionnaire asks. There should be a body that will regulate this thing to a minimal extent so that the investors will follow it. In fact, in most of the hotels I've worked, they begin to do a makeshift for even that particular canteen. Otherwise, they say, let them just eat anywhere. So it's very important that we look into that aspect. I know that body cannot really work well if the government don't really come in. The government needs to be involved for the enforcement, because there should be a little enforcement. You can say, if you want to answer a hotel, you answer a hotel, then you go through that particular one. If you are building any other thing, you cannot call it brothel or any other thing. Then we know that it's a brothel. So there should be a body. We need to start looking in that direction. My professors, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.